Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everybody. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from my basement bunker beneath Kettle Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour. It is great to have you along. I may not have a lot of stuff for you this morning. I got wrapped up in some other things that needed to be taken care of. But I want to start there. The president apparently watched the ICE shooting, and he said the graphic footage was horrible to watch. And this was just hours after Renee Good was shot and killed by an ICE agent. And the president told the New York Times, he watched a clip of it and he said, it's a terrible scene. I think it's horrible to watch. No, I hate to see it, he said. And he has repeatedly insisted that the unidentified agent who pulled the trigger did so in self-defense only after he was struck by her car. And he said that was a vicious situation that took place. She behaved horribly. And then she ran him over. She didn't try to run him over, he said. So Trump and Homeland Security officials say the footage captured the moment that she intentionally struck the officer with her car before he opened fire. And the president said, I want to see nobody get shot. I want to see nobody screaming and trying to run over police either. With all of it being said, no, I don't like that happening. And, well, I don't think anybody does. I don't think any of us enjoy seeing that. Do you? I think any of us enjoy seeing this kind of thing happening. It's really unfortunate. So the president had said in the Truth Social post prior to that the federal agent involved had to be hospitalized, which he was, and was released then also. Christine Ullman said he was released last night, I think. And the president said he was lucky to be alive after he was struck. So the reaction, we talked about the reaction from Democrats at length during the radio show this morning, so I'm not going to revisit a lot of that. The president, I was on the president's True Social account because I haven't been on there. I wanted to see what he may be saying or if there were any updates, especially given the fact that I think at least I was seeing on Fox News Channel. I'm going to pull them up here for a moment. Live updates with Minneapolis protesters now. They're at it again an hour ago. Fox says protesters in Minneapolis were seen confronting federal agents in the city Thursday morning, one day after an ICE agent was killed. Protesters were heard yelling shame at the officers and telling them to go home. It's just childish behavior. Honestly, it's just childish behavior. They're law enforcement. No, we're not going home. Obey the law. The law applies to you. It applies to everybody. Just absolutely crazy. Hillary Clinton weighing in. Now, you're hearing this, a lot of Democrats, it's murder. This is murder. This is what we're seeing. It's murder. And protesting the Trump administration's lawless violence versus what we see in the streets of Minneapolis. This is how crazy this is. I cannot wrap my head around this kind of insanity. I just really can't. So these were comments that she made this morning on X. And she said, in the face of this administration's lawless violence, solidarity is the answer. They want to mold America to their cruelty. We refuse. Wow. You had Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, is out there saying something very similar. She's calling it murder. Ilhan Omar. It's just crazy town. Seriously. When are they going to join us in the real world? Just absolutely incredible. So what did AOC say? She said, this has now turned into what our greatest fear is and has been for a long time around ICE, that this will be used as an anti-civilian force that has no accountability. At the end of the day, what we saw today is a murder, and murders in cold blood need to be prosecuted. She said the incident was the manifestation of every American's worst nightmare. She described it as their government turning into tyranny. Oh, wow. Right when I think these people couldn't be any worse, yeah, they get worse. It just gets crazy. So who was the young woman who was killed? 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good. I'm curious to know more about her. Good's mother said she lived in the Twin Cities with her partner and that the family had been notified of the death late this morning. Or, excuse me, late yesterday morning. Late yesterday. That can't be right. Late, they must have. So because this did happen yesterday. Excuse me, getting my times conflated there. But the reaction to some of this, it's just absolutely crazy. What is it with ICE and law enforcement? Governor Kathy Hochul admitting she harassed an ICE officer in New York City. She's teasing now a proposal to keep ICE out of New York City. So she talked about this on MS Now. That's gotten crazier and crazier, by the way. MS Now. Wow. She's saying, why do you think that you were more than anybody else? Come on, you're just trying to terrorize people. She told a federal officer this during the exchange. Why do you think you're more than anybody else? Because you're a law enforcement officer. Are you stupid? I mean, you're a law enforcement officer. Yeah. Seriously, these people are just, I am at my wit's end this morning. I apologize. I just get so worked up. When I'm on the air, I'm really trying to be calm. I'm honest, believe it or not, I really am. I'm trying to be calm, trying to get information to you, trying to get your reaction, trying to take your calls, give you a chance to speak without suffocating you, okay? Honestly, at least that's what I would like to do. I don't want to suffocate folks who call. But it just gets overwhelming. This nonsense. It's just like you're confronted with stupidity every day, everywhere you look, on every issue. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just a little bit much. I was on the President's True Social page just to see what he has. In fact, I want to refresh this and see if he has posted anything new here this morning. No, he hasn't since I last checked. He shared a comment from Senator Mike Lee. And he said Congress should be passing the SAVE Act to stop non-citizens from voting, not paying leftists to lobby against it. And then he says, the labor HHS spending bill advanced by the Senate Appropriations Committee contains an earmark giving $500,000 to leftists, falsely claiming the SAVE Act would disenfranchise millions of Americans. And what they say, they're not Americans. That's why the SAVE Act would stop them from being able to vote. If you're not a citizen of the United States, should you be able to vote? I just think that's one of those issues that for folks on Main Street, well, of course the answer is, no, they shouldn't be allowed to vote. It's the answer is as clear as the nose on your face. It's just crazy. Why should the federal government be giving money to folks that are claiming the SAVE Act and disenfranchising millions of Americans? Should non-citizens be able to vote? Really is what it boils down to. Should non-citizens be able to vote in federal elections? I would say absolutely not, under no circumstances. A big believer in voter ID, a lot of these things. I want to protect the vote. Also, there was the president also shared a link to a story over at justthenews.com regarding Minnesota. Officials say the movement of cash out of Minnesota was substantially abnormal and should have raised red flags during the Biden administration. There are a lot of things that should have raised red flags during the Biden administration. I think the whole Biden administration was a red flag. So the cash moved overseas in luggage by Somali couriers from the Minneapolis airport was 10 to 100 times larger than the total foreign exodus of money at other larger American airports the last 2 years. Did you catch that? There is a lot in that sentence. So the amount of money that was being moved in luggage by Somali couriers, 10 to 100 times larger coming out of the Minneapolis airport than any other major American airport. Wow. I think the corruption coming out of Minnesota is honestly, there have been members of Congress who are saying this is just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, I think it is. I don't even know that we're to the tip of the iceberg yet. Just absolutely incredible. Transportation Security Administration detected and flagged nearly $700 million in cash moved in luggage out of the Minneapolis airport by Somali couriers in 2024 and 2025 alone. $700 million in those 2 years alone. Stunning total that averaged nearly $1 million a day. Oh, man. It is just, it's just too much. The president's also got a link on True Social to an interview that took place on the Sean Hannity show last night. Nicole Parker was speaking, and she, when a vehicle is coming at you and it's being used as a weapon, deadly force is justified. As it should be. As it should be. That was a conversation among the panelists last night on the Hannity program. President also, now this is interesting. I hadn't seen this earlier this morning because there were questions about after the United States removes Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela, what is going to be the reaction of Colombia? What's going to be the reaction of Cuba and these other countries? And so the president of Colombia was talking tough as Maduro, we were learning Maduro was in U.S. custody. He was appearing in court earlier this week, and Maduro was out there talking really tough. Well, now the president says on True Social, he said, it was a great honor to speak with the president of Colombia, who called to explain the situation of drugs and other disagreements that we have had. I appreciated his call and tone. Look forward to meeting with him in the near future. Arrangements are being made between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the Foreign Minister of Colombia, and the meeting will take place at the White House in Washington, the president said. So that is interesting. The fact that after we heard some tough talk coming out of Colombia's president, as Maduro was being brought to the United States, suddenly he's in conversations with the president, and it's as the president said, I appreciated his call and tone. So, my friend, I ask you, why do you think that is? Why is it suddenly that the president of Colombia is calling the president of the United States, and in what I don't want to choose words for the president, but the president clearly saying he appreciated the call and his tone. What do you think brought that about? Why would that happen when the words that we're seeing and that he's posting on X, on social media and so on, is quite the opposite of that? You got to wonder what the repercussions of this are going to be. I talked about the capture of Nicolas Maduro. What will the repercussions be? I asked Senator Mike Rounds about that this morning when he was on the program. We got Cuba literally 90 miles off of Florida. What do you think they are thinking in the wake of us going down and plucking Nicolas Maduro out of Venezuela, bringing him to the United States? I just can't say enough what an incredible operation I think that was. Want to salute the members of our military who executed that. I think the political leaders who had the will to make it happen. It's just absolutely incredible. And so now already we're seeing the president of Colombia calling our president, having conversation, which Trump says is meaningful, and never would have happened had the United States not taken the steps that it did. I just think the impact of that, we're going to feel that for years. Seriously. And I can't help but believe that other countries and other leaders are looking at Trump differently. And, Trump says he's going to do something. He's going to do it. When he warns you and he says repeatedly that, he's giving you options and he wants you to take them. And I would, if it were, seriously, I would listen. It's just amazing to me. The president also said, we talk about Venezuela, I've just been informed that Venezuela is going to be purchasing only American-made products with the money they receive from our new oil deal. These purchases will include, among other things, American agricultural products, American-made medicines, medical devices, and equipment to improve Venezuela's electric grid and energy facilities. In other words, Venezuela is committing to doing business with the United States as their principal partner. A wise choice and a very good thing for the people of Venezuela and the United States. Now, I agree with that. I think you and I, America is going to be better off if we've got Venezuela that is doing business with the United States, that we become then, they're going to purchase only American-made products. What that's going to mean for agriculture remains to be seen, but that's great news. This Are you tired of winning yet? It's it's pretty incredible, I think, as you watch that. Also, there is a story with Greenland. This is from the New York Post. And the headline of this story is Greenland is vast, frozen, largely uninhabitable. Here's why President Trump wants it. Been talking about Greenland, and then you see the maps of Greenland, and yeah. From May until late July, Greenland experiences 24 hours of daylight. There's a lot about Greenland that remains a mystery, they say, despite the fact that 80% of Greenland is under a 1.5 mile deep ice cap. The place is currently hot. Trump has made it very clear he wants the vast frozen land to become part of the U.S. And he said, I'm trying to see if there's anything new here beyond what I've shared, but Trump has a long-term perspective on acquiring Greenland. So I don't know that there's anything really more in this story. That Denmark has been firm in saying that Greenland is not for sale. Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't they consider selling Greenland to the United States? You know, they're making a big deal. It's not for sale. We're not in the EU is all, it's Greenland. Closer to the United States, I think, than it is to any, the whole thing is crazy. So the U.S. has one military base in Greenland. Trump, though, wants it all. Although now this is from the New York Post. Although he initially floated military action, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has downplayed that, saying the U.S. would prefer to walk through diplomacy with Denmark and Greenland and buy out the land. Trump on Air Force One said Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security, he said. I think it's a smart move. And think how that would set the United States up then for decades to come. I really think it would. I think it would set the United States up for decades to come. If you're not a subscriber of mine on YouTube, I want to ask you to please become a subscriber. Hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. I really do. I wish I had some way to show my appreciation and thank you, but I really do. The kind comments. I ran into somebody yesterday. I'm out going to Fairway doing my little grocery shopping. It's a real sexy life that I live. It's if you see me out, usually it's at Fairway, maybe once in a while at a restaurant. But yes, my life is just so boring. So, but I was at Fairway yesterday, and somebody holding the door open for me, and he didn't ask me. A lot of times, folks will ask me, "Hey, are you Greg?" He didn't even ask me. He knew it was me. And he said, I listen to your show every day. I appreciate it. And, and I hear what I hear from a lot of folks is generally I don't call, and I would say like 90% of the people that I run into, that's what they tell me. I'll never call the show, but I listen all the time. I appreciate it. One of the ways that you can show appreciation is by subscribing on YouTube. So thanks to those of you who have done that. Hitting the like button also makes a difference. Hitting that like button, sharing it. And I see every day that some of you are doing exactly that. You're sharing it, you're hitting the like button, and it makes a difference. And I'm seeing my YouTube numbers go up. In fact, let me take a look. I want to give you an update on, you can see it yourself, but 521 subscribers. So now we're up to 521. Was at 511 at the beginning of the week, I think, or close to that, even maybe a little bit fewer than that. So the number of subscribers is growing, and I want to keep that going until it just starts to feed on itself. So thanks for being here. You have made it to the end of the video, so you are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute to the Bunker Brigade. Those are the folks that are here and they're commenting and they're participating on YouTube each and every day. Appreciate all of you. Let's leave it there for today. Until tomorrow, my friend, I'm underground and gone.